On this week's episode of The Smoke Break, we talk with artist, educator, and youth advocate Jesse Gardner about adapting under pressure and choosing content. Episodes drop on Spotify every Sunday after they air and Wednesdays on YouTube.
And welcome to The Smoke Break. We are here every Sunday from 9 to 10 a.m. on Shady Pines Radio, as well as Pretty Dope Experience Radio. I am your host, your old pal Zane, here with Marik Shreron. My God, we're going to be fine. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Putz Whoppin'.
Yep. Malik Rayshawn and Jesse Gardner.
Yup, a.k.a. Jesse the Imaginer.
All right.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Happy to have you. So you guys know each other?
Yeah, Jesse is a super cool dude. I met him working at McDaniel. He's an English teacher with a hip hop angle. Super cool dude. Jesse, tell the people like your favorite thing about yourself.
The favorite thing about myself? Well, I mean, physically, my gray hair, so there's that. My overall whole being, I just love my approach to life. Just contemplative and artful.
For sure. No, that's super dope. Well, I'm really excited to talk to you about our topics today. This week, we're going to be talking about...
We're going to be talking about adapting under pressure.
Yes, exactly. And having people finish your sentences when you're not really sure where you're going with each sentence. Adapting under pressure. I think it's something that's extremely important to be able to do. And there's a lot of aspects of your life that it really is applicable. I guess for me, adapting under pressure is kind of that thing where, I hit a point where I have to be able to just figure things out. And I think how you react under pressure says a lot about you. So as far as like adapting under pressure, is this something that you find yourself using creatively?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm a teacher, high school English, hip hop literature, and pretty much it's just a part of the vocation. It's a part of the job. It's like you got a pressure. You got 20 to 30 different adolescent energies in the.
That's a very polite way to put it.
Jesse's really good at like saying things without having to put the sauce on it.
Yeah,
like, you know exactly what he's saying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm like adolescent energies. You mean shitheads? No. But no. So as far as like working with them, I'm sure you have like a lot of like difficulties where it's like maybe you come in with a lesson plan, but like if the kids decide that's not the way they want to learn it, you kind of have to adapt.
Exactly. It's like I'm going to be prepared as best I can, but I'm also got to be prepared to adapt and to read the energy and to be like, okay, this is falling flat. I got to just own that and rewind. And some days you're just like, all right, we're not really learning shit today, and we'll try again tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, and I definitely like what you said about reading the energy, because I feel like is even in comedy, like that's something where if you come in with like this idea that I'm going to tell these jokes, I'm going to tell them this way, but you don't connect with the students and you don't adapt to, or not the students, but the drunk bar patrons, same thing. Yeah. But if you don't
Students
connect
of life.
if you don't connect with the audience and you're not adaptable, then you can end up wasting both of your time.
When you came in as a teacher, was there a period of you adapting to be more adaptable, or like were you by the book? Like, was that you?
Well, I feel lucky because I was a step up advocate like you, before I was a teacher. So I feel like holding that after school, tutoring, mentoring space gave me a leg up. And being an MC, being able to, similar but different in comedy, you got to read the room if people aren't like messing with your music, you got to like make a connection. You got to like take a time just to breathe and just to be like, get up to the front, get right here, same in the classroom. I had to be like, all right, yeah, this is energy's not working. While you come up here, and do little things like to get the energy up. I'll use a little Tribe Called Quest. Like, can I kick it? Yes, you can. Can I kick it? Yes, you can.
That's sick. No, that's cool.
I got to do little tricks just to like, get the energy to a place where we can learn.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point that you bring up is, almost just like fostering the space so that way you can get your message across, because we may have a really awesome message, but if you haven't prepared people to receive that message, then it gets lost on deaf ears.
No doubt. And I've studied like emceeing but not even just talking right now, I'm like, comedy probably has a lot to teach me about teaching.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother art form I highly respect, but haven't, had the vulnerability or the bravery to go down messing with myself. But,
Sure. No, I think both, like I do both comedy and music, but like I realize that they both scratch different itches.
Mm-hmm.
And the things that I can be vulnerable about and say in music are maybe not things that I can say in comedy and vice versa. So there's definitely just some back and forth between the two. So as far as being adaptable, what was like something recently where you saw something not working and you're like, okay, how do I change this energy?
That's a good question. Well, I teach freshmen and seniors. Right now, it's like my seniors' energy's real low, and I'm trying to bring it up. So I had this idea at the beginning of the year where I'm just like, we're going to get into our vision and our purpose, and that's going to be what's energizing this whole class, and they're going to figure out what they want to do after high school. We're just going to draw upon hip hop culture and different artists to get that energy for, I'm going to do this with my life. But the energy wasn't there. So how I'm adapting is we're learning freestyle rapping right now.
Okay.
How to be in the moment and how to, basically speak from your heart and just be like what I call embrace the cringe.
Okay. Yeah, I like it. I mean, especially with like freestyling, because there's, as somebody who's freestyled a little bit, there's definitely some times where I'm just like, that's not what I wanted to say, but like I've got to still keep rapping.
And I've heard so many people who like they want to freestyle, and that they do, but they're just like, oh, like I don't want to sound dumb, like I don't want to say.
What if
anything.
I say something stupid?
Yeah, what
you
if
will
I'm
say something
cringy?
stupid.
You will say something stupid.
You have to.
That's how you get to the good stuff.
And it's very similar with like comedy, is like it's a matter of saying either the wrong thing the wrong way or the right thing the wrong way, but like getting past the fact that like that's going to happen in order for you to say the right thing the right way.
Yes.
So as far as like, with like freestyling, like how do you feel like that plays into adaptability?
Yo, I mean, that's a big part of what taught me adaptability. My story with freestyling is I was into hip hop since I was like 10, 11. My best friend growing up, I grew up in Zigzag, very rural, very like not even suburban, but like we had Yo MTV Raps on Saturday mornings.
Sure.
So it's like once I saw Wu-Tang, Cash Rules everything around me. Once I saw Tribe Called Quest Scenario, I was like, yo, there's this right here. I need this in my life. So I started writing my own corny raps in junior high, and in high school I would freestyle like in the shower or in the car with like 3 friends who but
who are patient when you mess up.
Totally. But connecting that to adaptability. So it's like over the years, there's been times where I had to be like, fuck it, I'm just going to freestyle.
Yeah.
Even though my heart's pounding out of my chest, or because my heart's pounding out of my chest, it's like I know I need to.
Yeah.
Or I know this is a moment for that. So
it's like that fear that signifies that that's something important that you actually should lean into and like figure out what's on the other side of that.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Exactly. But circling it back, you were asking like, how has freestyling helped me adapt under pressure?
Sure.
Yeah. So it's like basically freestyling, you learn to trust in the moment, trust in the spaciousness, trust in and almost relax into your own mind and body to be like, all right, I'm going to say something, whatever comes out, I'm going to own it. This is who I am. So a lot of that on a day-to-day basis. I mean, I am actually freestyling in my classes sometimes, but I am freestyling pretty much every day. Some days more than others, I have more of a plan. Sometimes I can just lean almost too much on my freestyle ability and be like, oh, let's just see what happens today.
Yeah. No, I definitely, like when I was teaching, I kind of just was like, oh, I got this, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And there would be days where it would pan out really well. And there'd be days where I was like, I probably should have followed the book a little bit more.
Yeah.
And
what were you teaching?
I was an English teacher in China.
Oh, wow.
So I taught for a number of years, about 3 years while I was over there. I taught like super young students. I could not teach older kids. That's why you like those adolescent energies. I'm like, nope, I'm fucking good on that. I am good on that. Those kids were just about as old as me, and they knew it. They're just like, you are not old enough to be teaching us. And I'm like, I'm not. I shouldn't be here. I'm very underqualified and kind of a dipshit. So
it's great to be able to have that like improvising quality as a teacher, because so many times, I mean, obviously everyone's been in a class that just completely went to shit because the teacher wasn't able to adapt to where the students were at. And then it's just a power struggle. But instead you surrender the power and you say, we're all having this experience together. Like, let's see where we're at. Let's see where we get at the end of this, hour and a half?
Yeah.
And that's a long time to be with the kids too. And the fact that they want to go into your class, like, and I have to say this too, like, y'all need to know all the students that I know at McDaniel that I've talked to, if they're students who don't typically have good relationships with most of their teachers, Jesse, Mr. Gardner is the one teacher that they can actually go to, that they trust, that they feel comfortable with, that they actually want to go to his class. So, shout out to Jesse. Give you some roses for that. Good
Absolutely.
Stuff,
Appreciation.
No, and I think that, like adaptability just plays like a big role in just kind of the space of teaching, because it's being able to, like Malik had said, meeting people where they're at. Like that's something that we bring up a lot, is that like, just because you mentally are like, I need to teach this lesson plan, doesn't mean that they're ready to receive this lesson plan. So like, there's a chance that you could walk out of there having them learn something, but maybe not the thing that you planned, but it doesn't have to be a total wash.
Exactly. And that's actually better, I think.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
It's like, and this is, the education system as a whole is like, here's your learning target. I'm going to write it on the board. And if you don't learn this, then you failed for today.
Exactly.
And the whole grading system itself, is fucked up. But to say, if I can create an environment where we're liberated enough and I contribute and I'm inviting every voice in there, then that's like a hip hop ethic, is like reclaiming public space. Our classrooms are public spaces. It's like, I want to invite students and I want to grow in this as an educator. Cause I mean, with adaptability, there's like the default mode. And then there's like what I call like the humanity mode. And in the default mode, you can just go to what worked for you. For me growing up as a white dude in rural Oregon, school worked for me in the sense where I could work the system and get the good grades, and then go on from there. But school, the way it's designed, is not for, it doesn't work for everybody.
No, it's not designed to.
It's not designed to cultivate genius. It's designed for, standardization.
Yeah, and a lot of that
factory
genius
workers
gets filtered out and thrown into all of the systems.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I always think that like a big flaw in kind of the education system is that, like, because I didn't hit this mark, that means that I'm not smart. And it's like, no, it means that I'm not specialized in this area. It doesn't mean that I'm not smart. It just means that, like, when it comes to math, I'm not gonna, you don't want me doing your taxes.
Yeah.
But like, you might want me writing a song. You might want me doing a stand-up show. Like there's different spaces.
No doubt. And there's students I recognize. I have a freshman right now. He's so brilliant and gifted, and school's boring to him. And it's hard to keep his attention. And it's like, I know you're going to be okay in life.
Yeah, exactly.
You have the skills right now to probably make 50K a year.
Exactly.
Selling Fortnite skins or whatever, flipping them.
Flipping them. It's all about that hustle.
But it's like, oh man, it's like I want to teach you to navigate the system so you can be who you want to be in this world.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning how to do that myself. So
yeah.
It's like,
well, I mean, it takes a lot of adapting. It takes a lot of, okay, well, that didn't work. What do we do this time?
No doubt. And I'll shout out a friend of mine, Desmond Spann. He's a teacher at Franklin. He had the idea for Hip Hop Lit, and he teaches it over at Franklin. I teach it at McDaniel.
Mm-hmm.
But we actually did like a little 10-episode podcast called Worth Work. And we explored a lot of these topics around education, equity, creativity. And I interviewed him for an episode where he does a thing called ungrading, where it's basically like students grade themselves. So it's like, so much of our conditioning around education is you do the least amount to get the best grade.
Mm-hmm.
And if I take that into my life, I'm going to do the least amount at my job to get the paycheck.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That might work for you. That's fine. But it's
quiet quitting.
Yeah. That's it. That's a quiet quitting. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what if you just you did things because that lights up your genius. Because if you feel human, you feel alive, you're bringing your gifts into the world. And so as a teacher, that's what I strive to do. And I fall short a lot. And I just gotta, like a freestyle. If I make a mistake, you just pick right back up.
Absolutely.
Try to find the pocket again.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, no, that's perfect. Well, we are actually going to take a real quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with the Smoke Break. We're here every Sunday from 9 to 10 a.m. on Shady Pines Radio, as well as Pretty Dope Experience Radio.
Wednesday evenings at 9 p.m. Come explore the spaces between friends. DJ 1017 takes you into a universe unlike any other. From Pink Floyd to the Flaming Lips and anything else interstellar. The spaces between friends with DJ 1017. Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Come explore with us here on Shady Pines Radio.
And we are back with a Smoke Break. We are here every Sunday from 9 to 10 a.m. on Shady Pines Radio, as well as Pretty Dope Experience Radio. I'm your host, your old pal Zane, here with Malik Ray Sean.
What's poppin'?
And Jesse Gardner.
What's up, y'all?
Yo. All right, cool. So on this second part of the Smoke Break, we are going to talk about the idea of choosing content. So choosing content. You're a rapper. I'm a comedian and a rapper. And
you're both English teachers.
And both English teachers.
Yo.
Very true. Yeah. Well, I feel like choosing content is a very it's an interesting thing because we are given a talent, and with that talent we can do just about anything with it, like people who can rap sometimes rap about dumb shit, but they're good rappers, but they rap about dumb shit. And so choosing
Guilty.
Absolutely. No, I've made some really dumb jokes, so I want you to know I am not.
You got to get through the dumb stuff to get to the good stuff.
You really do. But choosing that, I feel like, is kind of an interesting thing. So Malik, for you, when you are choosing content, what do you pick and why do you pick it?
It's all about how I feel and what I'm going through at that time. I'm always working on new music, and so it's almost like a constant channeling of whatever emotion, whatever context of my life in that moment. Whether it's something came up at work, like I'm I'm doing a pop punk song right now that's dedicated to oh, you left me behind, I'm supposed to trust you, kind of from the lens of like a kid who was abandoned.
So that's that. I mean, that's cool. Like that's taking an idea that a lot of people have either felt that or seen people who've felt that, and bringing it to light and speaking out about it in a way that can connect with more people.
And then absolutely. And then I would say the question that I ask myself is what can I find nourishment in my life? Because I don't necessarily need to talk about like everything I've ever experienced with everyone I've ever experienced it with, but certain things there are a lot of nourishment to be pulled out of. So it's like, how does this make me feel? And is there nourishment to be drawn out of what it is?
Oh, I think that's a really, really good approach as far as like kind of like just setting up your reason for doing it, because like having a good reason, having a good why is what's going to motivate you to complete that song. So what about you as far as like choosing content? What do you pick and sort of why do you pick it?
Yeah, I mean, at this stage of my life, being over 40, I just want to create shit that I want to listen to.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's healing, has a healing vibration. So my last 2 projects I've called helixers, like healing the helixes. Yeah. Speaking to my own DNA and hopefully to anyone who listens, speaking to your DNA to like heal that deep shit. So, one little story is like, I think last summer, a kid who bullied me back in grade school and in high school, like 2 separate times, like sent me a friend request on Facebook. And I was like, just sat with that. And I was like, how do I feel about that? And then from there, I wrote a song about it. And I went back to those instances of being bullied. I'm like, I'm going to like tell the story because I needed that. Yeah. I needed to process that like trauma that happened and get it out there. And then go on the other side of that. It's like, when was I a bully? Because in the writing process, it came out. I was like, bully, bully, bully. Why you bullying? Or who bullied you? And if you bully me, do I have to bully too? And I was like, oh shit. That came out. I'm like, when did I bully someone? And then from there, I was like, oh, I was a bully in like 4th and 5th grade to this girl that I liked, and I'm trying to get her attention. And I was an asshole. So let me tell that, and I wrote a poem about that.
No, that's super sick. It sounds like for you, the choosing your content is almost like centered around like the idea of like processing some of it, you know, and being able to process it the proper way.
Yes.
And what you're able to do too, when you process it through the art or really any specific intentional way, you're like taking ownership of whatever it is that you're thinking about. With the bully situation, like you're taking ownership of how it felt to be bullied, but also the ownership of how it felt to be a bully. And in hindsight, like
facts.
That's a really special connection that we're able to have through the music or whatever art it is that we're doing, whether it's comedy or painting, to just own shit.
No doubt. And I mean, these art forms, it's like there are superpowers in a way, because we take the darkest, most painful things that we've been through and we put it into art. Yeah. Yeah. And that's I'm so thankful to have those art forms. You know what I mean?
In a way, I'm almost and this is something that's probably problematic for me to say, but I'm almost thankful for suffering for the beautiful art that comes from it inevitably. Yeah. Because I've never significantly suffered and not created something beautiful off of it, at least, since I was like 14, 15, 16.
Yeah. I could definitely relate to that in a sense, except for that time that my dick pic, I got bribed with a picture of my dick pic. I thought I was gonna make a really cool rap song about that, but I just got scammed for $300.
I definitely shouldn't laugh out loud about that. My apologies.
No, this is the smoke break. If we're not laughing, we're probably crying. I guess for like me, as far as picking content, it's really just with the intent of connecting. It's with the idea that like there have been periods of my life where I have felt alone, and most of that like loneliness came from my inability to be vulnerable and connect with people in a way that they similarly felt the same.
Yeah.
So whenever I come to a space, a creative space, it's with the intent of being like, hey, I felt like this. If you felt like this too, then like I want you to know that like you're not the only one who went through that.
Yeah. I'm interested in, you said there was a little bit of difference between your comedy and your music. And when I was listening to both, I felt vulnerability in both of those art forms for you. And how would you describe that? difference?
I guess like for like the problem that I've always had with comedy is that like in order for it to be comedy, it has to be funny. So trying to always find a joke in everything is exhausting, because like in rap, as long as it rhymes, and even sometimes when it doesn't, it's still rap. But with comedy, if there's not a punchline, there's not a laugh, then it's not comedy. It's just you talking. So I definitely feel more free in my expression with music, because it can just be about a story. It can just be about a topic. It can just be about a thing without it having to have this ulterior, like, but is it funny too?
And is it funny or is it good is always like a subjective thing. But I think it's easier for music to be more open for more people to like it versus like, I don't know, like if you don't like Dave Chappelle, you're never gonna like Dave Chappelle. But if you don't like I don't like Post Malone, right? I'll say I'm not a fan, not that I dislike him, but there's maybe one or two songs that he's made that I'm like, dude, I fucking love these songs.
And I definitely I like that you said that, because there's definitely like a space where like an artist can grow on you, but like if you don't like a joke the first time, you're not going to hear it 4 more times and be like, this is actually a good joke. So that's for me, I guess like picking content is trying to pick things that like I can be passionate about, that I can have my own powerful why behind it, so that way it continues to motivate me to be like, okay, if my point is to connect, maybe this joke didn't work, but if the point is to connect, then it's my reason for continuing is for that.
No doubt. And sometimes it's like, if I'm going to perform a song over and over, I want to enjoy it every time I do it. It almost needs to be like an affirmation of my why or who I am in the world. It's like, I want to keep putting out this story or this vibration out there. I'm going to say it. Like when you write a song, you're writing it and then you're repeating it, you're editing it, you're recording it, you're doing it over. So like by the time you're done, you gotta like your stuff.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. I can definitely agree with that one.
I wonder if there's ever been a piece of content, like a joke or a bar, that either of you have written or put in a song that in hindsight you look back and you're like, that wasn't it. That wasn't the move.
So many jokes.
Not in terms of like it being good, but just like content that you want people to relate to you.
Yeah. Okay, so like I used to have this one joke that I stopped saying where I would just be like, hey, so I'm mixed race, which means that my mom's white and my dad's gone. And I used to tell that joke like a lot. Like that was like an opener to my set so many times. And
people are either laughing or crying.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and the thing is like, as far as like that piece of content, like there was a point where I was kind of just like, oh, like I'm acknowledging that like I've had this difficult father experience, but like I have to also look at like the way that the content's being received and be like, hey, are the people who are laughing at this laughing at it because they see my struggle or because I fit a stereotype?
No doubt.
See, that's hard to navigate, because a lot of times the thing that's most natural to us to just jump into is, or can be viewed as, at least derivative of a stereotype. And especially when you're being funny, when you're being doing anything that's talented. Like it's hard not to do that in a way that portrays that. But I think the way that you approach it and the way that all of us approach it in this room is so genuine and authentic. But that doesn't stop you from saying dumb shit,
I mean,
it's like freestyling, sometimes you're gonna say some dumb shit and you're like, hey, let's not saying that again.
Jesse, you got any whack bars in the vault?
Well, I mean, I just have to take ownership that I was a Christian rapper.
That's pretty cool.
The word.
Gospel rapper.
Hey,
shout out to Jesus Christ.
Shout out to JC. He be watching every week.
No, bro. Like, I mean, that's a part of my story. And it's actually the first time I like freestyled in front of people was at this like Christian prayer meeting. I was in New Zealand.
That sounds way more terrifying than just normal freestyling.
Bro.
Are you
could really fuck up. You can say like things that would be whack at a party, but then there's things that are whack at a church meeting that are like totally different.
Are you of the Christian faith?
Not anymore. I don't identify as a Christian.
I don't want to say anything and offend you, but now I know.
I don't. I mean, I like it's been a process of just like owning that was a part of my path and just being like, that's where I was. And that, it's like you're saying about everything you've suffered, you can find gold in it. And it's like, okay, like I was a part of that. That was a part of my healing. And there's good things I can take from it, but I'm just trying to let go of a lot of the harm, a lot of that was been done. Yeah. But like, so if I go back to any of my bars from those days, I'm like,
I'm sure. I'm sure there's some bars.
Well, look, if you ever struggle getting into heaven, just pull out that mixtape, bro.
Yeah, exactly. You're at the gates. You're just like, yo, you check out this fire mixtape. Not fire. I get it. Cancel. All right. Well, we're going to take a real quick commercial break and we'll be right back with a smoke break. We're here every Sunday from 9 to 10 a.m. on Shady Pines Radio, as well as Pretty Dope Experience Radio.
Patches, come here, boy. I love Patches, and that's why I love Patch Dog.
Hey, Dad, were you calling me?
No, I was calling the dog Patches.
Yes, Father?
Oh, not you, honey. Patch Dog makes custom iron-on embroidery patches. I can give them my design, and in a couple weeks, I've got custom patches. They can be of my daughter Patches, my son Patches Jr., or even my dog Patches.
Yes, dear.
No, that's Patches, my wife. I'm just making a commercial. And because Patch Dog loves you so much, use the code SPR10 for a 10% discount.
Yay.
And you know they've got that free domestic shipping. For more information, check out patch.dog and fall in love with patches like me.
Did you
Yes, dear.
No, I'm making a commercial for Patch Dog. Patch Dog.
And we are back with the smoke break. We're here every Sunday from 9 to 10 a.m. on Shady Pines Radio, as well as Pretty Dope Experience Radio. I am your host, your old pal Zane, here with Malik Rayshawn.
What's poppin'?
And Jesse Gardner.
what up, y'all?
All right,
Sorry,
we are at no, it's okay, it's it's a little bit earlier than usual. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're actually gonna be doing 2 episodes today, as far as the live recording, so you can check us out on Facebook probably around 6 o'clock. But other than that, we're gonna do the joke break. And my favorite part about the joke break is sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's not, just like jokes. And this week, question that we are asking is, what would you be / are your hangups as a father?
Ooh.
What would be your hangups as a father?
Ooh.
So are you a father?
I'm not.
You're not a father. You're not a father.
Not yet.
Okay, not yet. Okay, not knowingly. Yeah. And neither am I. But what would my hangups be if I were to be a father? Fucking anger. That is for sure. That is for sure. I feel like that would be that's something that I have a difficulty dealing with in just like my personal relationships with like my friends and my peers. But I definitely feel like if there was that frustration of like, I'm raising this person, I need them to understand this stuff, because if not, they're going to fuck up their life. Like I can just see that anger coming out in really ugly ways.
Well, I mean, it would be hard not to as a parent, because as soon as your kid figures out that they have their own brain, they're immediately defying you every way they can.
Yeah.
And I mean, as like an educator, you see it, but as I imagine, as a parent, like you can't escape it. It's every day.
Yeah, it's every day. Yeah, it's you don't get weekends off,
right?
Unless you split up, in which case there's a way to work it, but you kind of have to pull some strings.
Yeah.
What about you? What's if you were a father right now, what do you think your hang-ups would be?
I remember my dad saying to me one time, like, sometimes I feel like I can do anything. Sometimes I feel like a fuck up. And I feel like just incompetency, feeling just knowing that I'm contributing to my child's wounds. And just like, inevitably we all have our human wounds. That's just like a part of life. But to know that like, I could never, that I'm going to fail my child.
Yeah, like you're going to fail regardless.
Yeah.
Like whether you give them everything, you fucked up by giving them everything. Whether you give them nothing, you fucked up by giving them nothing. Like there's going to be some aspect where they're going to look back and be like, you did too much or not enough.
Yeah. I would say the only way to fail is to not try.
Yeah.
To fucking run away.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. And it's like as a child, when you grow up and you get into that adolescent energy, you have to see the shortcomings of your father in order to find your own place in the world.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and I think that there's a certain amount of like compassion that needs to come with like understanding that like a lot of people's shortcomings were them thinking that they were coming further than maybe their parents did.
Yeah.
Like they're just like, I didn't beat the shit out of you. And it's just like, yeah, but you screamed at me the entire time. They're like, but I didn't beat the shit out of you. Just, you know, like.
A lot of times I think parents can, they take the lens of like, excuse me, like I love you and I'm your parent. So therefore, however I deal with you is appropriate.
Yeah, it's coming from a place of love. Yeah, and it's I like that.
It doesn't work, and so it seems like you have more the approach where you're more being sensitive as a hypothetical parent of how would your kid need you to show up for them versus like you dropping the ball because you're trying to do it a certain way and it's like not working and you're like being hard-headed or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that's a pretty good mindset to go into hypothetical parenthood.
Yeah, hypothetical parenthood.
No doubt.
Do you want kids?
Well, we're at a place in our life where we are asking that question. You know, I'm over 40, my wife's 38, and she's had a chronic illness like pretty much our whole marriage. And so my thought was like, right when we get married, you know, live together for a few years and start having kids, just like life will happen.
Yeah.
But not having that option because she has certain medication she's on where she can't get pregnant.
Sure.
And so it's like, but we're at the place like, do we want kids?
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, I could be content without children.
Sure.
You know, I feel like life is beautiful and challenging. And sometimes I'm like, how the hell could I have a kid?
Yeah. I'm failing me right now. I don't need to be failing an extra person.
Yo, we were like, let's try to have kids like January of 2020.
Nice. You picked a good
pandemic
year.
Hit,
picked a good year.
The pandemic hit and we're like, no, we're cool on that for right now.
That's fine.
So we're like asking that question again and just exploring it. I have beautiful nibblings, nieces, nephews around that I, you know, get that youthful energy and teaching kids. I'm like, I don't know if I could be a dad and be a teacher. It feels like shout out to all the teachers who have kids out there. But that's so much
saints.
energy. Yeah.
Dude, the only thing that makes most of my jobs workable is knowing that as soon as I'm done working that job, I don't have to go do the thing I was just doing all fucking day.
Teachers who are parents are in kids mode all the time.
Yeah,
No doubt.
yeah,
no
exactly.
off time.
I'm contrling this entire classroom. Now I'm controlling my unruly little shit.
Yeah. But yeah, man, a story popped in my mind just about like, you know, when you have to surpass your father or you have to find your place in the world.
Yeah.
And I remember growing up, my dad got me into basketball and I always looked up to him as like, oh, he's such a good basketball player. But I remember being like 15, 16, challenging him to one-on-one and I hadn't beat him yet. And we were in this intense game. And we're just like fouling the shit out of each other, talking shit. And I'm just like, I'm
wish
like,
they didn't even have you. You're like, whoa, Jesus. Fucking game of pickup.
We're like tied as game point. And like I come down and I just ram him over. He falls down. I lay it up, take the ball, throw it at his chest. I'm like, game. Walk in. And that's when I became a man. You know?
Oh my god! No, I feel like that's a day that happens, you know, like with your parent, where you're just like, oh yeah, like the thing. I think I could take my dad. I think I could take my dad.
Let me just say the level of pettiness to take the ball and throw it.
Yeah.
After he was on the ground. I love it. I
was an asshole.
But I also won that game.
Yeah, but I won.
So who even cares?
And I bring it up every time now.
Yeah, exactly. Every Thanksgiving.
I damn sure would too.
Yeah, remember that crossed you up?
Yeah.
So this is the thing for me with fatherhood. And this, I feel like this would definitely be a trip up, is trying too hard, like being too caught up over watching my kid make mistakes. Because to an extent, like, I'm not going to be able to stop harm from coming to them 100% of the time. I'm not going to be able to stop them from putting themselves in harm's way. And I recognize that because of how I grew up. Like my mom did literally everything she possibly could. And my grandma and my aunts, like pretty much having 3 different moms, and still I was wilding out.
Yeah, exactly.
So I feel like that's going to be difficult because I recognize growing up how a lot of the decisions I made in like long term to this day have had negative effects on my life to where I don't want them to go through those things because I already have, but I can't stop them from doing that necessarily.
Yeah. And I think that that's a really good just kind of like observation, is that like the idea that as a parent, you want to stop your kid from making the same mistakes that you made, but like making those mistakes is the only thing that solidified in your mind not to make those mistakes.
Right. And it would have been different. You can't just be like, this is going to be a mistake, son. I don't give a shit. I want to do it. There's a party. My best friend's going to be there. The girl I have a crush on is going to be there. I'm going.
I want to get hurt.
Yeah, exactly. I want to be tired at school tomorrow.
No, for real though. And I just feel like I would struggle to let go of my, like, what I think that my kid needs to do and lay down the law for sure, but also be prepared for them to create their own path. And I'm not saying I'm not going to punish my kids. I'm not saying I'm not going to be strict and firm with certain things, but at the same time, I'm not going to be an asshole. Like, I'm not going to be a drill sergeant. Like, oh, you better be afraid of me because you didn't do what I told you. No, just recognize you not doing what I'm telling you to do is only going to hurt you in the long run. Because I'm good. Yeah. Like, I'm safe at home. Yeah. You're the child.
So you see yourself becoming a father?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think about it so much.
Yeah. Okay, that's what's up. You'd be a really awesome dad.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, man. It's something that's important to me just because, like, I didn't grow up with a dad, so I want to be that.
Yeah.
Just like everything else I do.
No, I
Do
think
you want to be a father?
Yeah. I've always wanted to have a kid, just because I think like one of my first like serious girlfriends, like she had already had like a kid. And I had just kind of like adapted to the idea that I was just like, man, like watching this person grow and being there for them and like showing them love, like even though it wasn't my kid, like I felt that love for them. And it's then like right after that, I started teaching, and I was just like, man, like I really enjoy just the idea that like there's these tiny little humans with these impressionable little minds that they don't really understand shit. And like there's no way that you can like make them understand anything, but you can help them understand.
No doubt.
There are also like alternate versions of you.
That's that. I don't know if I could deal with that. Like,
no doubt. Like something that my beloved asked me the other day. She's like, "What if we grew up with parents who love themselves?"
Ugh.
And that's been like in my mind. I'm like, damn, like, would I be that parent? And then I'm like, would I be that parent?
Yeah.
If I become a father, I'm like, would I be a parent who like, I love myself, and that's gonna be reflected in my child?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that that's a really important question to ask, because, you know, I think a lot of the reason why our parents failed in the ways that they did is because they weren't able to show up for themselves, let alone for us as well.
That's it. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of stigma with fathers too, where like we, as if I'm currently a father, men who eventually become fathers are looked at like, oh, like they can't be emotional, like they can't be present, they're never home, like they can't change diapers. And I think it's really interesting that that's the stereotype. And obviously it's a stereotype because it exists and because it persists, but also like, I don't know, that's really weird to me that fatherhood isn't seen within like male culture, I guess, like dude culture, with the same respect as motherhood is for women. Because for women, like, I mean, I'm not a woman, so I don't really know, but it seems like motherhood seems to be a really, really big thing that like a lot of women
can like take pride in and be like, I did this, I got the kids ready for this, you know. And it's like, it's almost like if a dude brings up that they did that, it's just like, well, I mean, fucking finally you do something, and it's just like, well, holy shit, like it's not, you're not gonna make me want to do more stuff by making me feel bad about the stuff that dude over there wasn't doing.
No doubt. And on the other side of the coin, it's like, as being like 41 and not having a kid yet, I can feel this like, is something wrong with me? You know, I'm like, I went to my high school reunion, and I think there was one other dude who didn't have a kid. And I was like, dude, me and you, we don't have kids. He's like, I'm trying to have a kid in the next couple of years. I'm like, damn, I'm the only one who's like, so that's like, I'm like, part of me is like, yeah, I'm the different dude, you know? And I'm still, I'm happy and fulfilled, and but I'm also like, am I missing out on the human experience here?
Yeah, well, and I think it's important to, you know, take inventory of what place even having a kid holds in your life. Like, is it something that you're doing because it's expected of you, or is it something that you're doing because it's something that like you want to bring into the world?
Exactly, and that's what me and my beloved talk about. I'm like, is it a fuck yes that we want to have a kid? And we actually have. It needs to be for us.
Absolutely. Yeah, some people are like, have a kid and it's like, fuck it. Like, we just had a kid. Like,
I think it's really healthy and responsible to be in like a healthy relationship for a prolonged period of time without having a kid, just so that way you're really feeling each other out. You're building a solid foundation, so that way when a kid does come, if a kid does come, like, you know, you're a great team, you communicate well, you trust each other. And obviously we don't always get that luxury or that privilege, but I think it's great that you've been able to have that experience. And if you're asking yourself about it, you might
you're more qualified than most people.
This wasn't in my notebook of preparation.
Okay. We're going off.
About this.
We're going off topic. All right. Well, dope. We're going to take a real quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with the smoke break. We're here every Sunday from 9 to 10 a.m. on Shady Pines Radio, as well as Pretty Dope Experience Radio.
We captured the taste and sound, only here on Open Country. Sundays noon to 1 with your host Anti-Vandal. Folk music with Anti-Vandal. We captured the taste and sound on this Open Country, noon to 1 Sundays with your host Anti-Vandal. Here on Shady Pines Radio.
And we are back with the smoke break. We're here every Sunday from 9 to 10 a.m. on Shady Pines Radio, as well as Pretty Dope Experience Radio. I'm your host, your old pal Zane, here with Malik Rayshawn.
What's poppin'?
And Jesse Gardner.
What's up, everybody?
Yo. All right. So my favorite part of the show, where I ask the question, what are you excited for? Let's go around the circle. Who wants to go first, class? Raise your hand. All right, cool. Malik, go ahead. Tell us what you're excited for.
I'm excited. I'm excited to go into next week, as well as the rest of this school year. For me, it's been some drama kind of going on at work that I won't get into specific detail, but I'll just say the team hasn't been feeling like a team lately.
Yeah.
For lots of reasons, but how can I say this? The people who are making the team feel like it's not a team are gone now.
Okay, well,
I killed them.
yeah. It's just like, I mean, that's a way to fix a team.
When in doubt, just murder. No, that's
I gotta
not
go.
cool.
You can quote us on that. Yeah. Somebody please clip that and use that.
But I'm just excited to have a space where I know like everyone in the building is able and capable to show up in the way that we need them to.
Yeah.
And even if we're super short staffed, I know I can trust everyone in that room. So we're kind of running around like chickens with our heads cut off. We're 3 staff short now. We lost 3 people in 1 week.
Wow.
Like within a couple days.
Jesus.
Actually over the weekend and then like on a Monday.
Jesus.
But I'm excited to know that everyone on my team at this point in time is like on it. I'm happy about that.
I mean, teams make such a big difference because you can't do everything by yourself, and even if you could, would you want to?
No.
So being able to have a team where everybody is on the same page, everybody has the same goals, everybody has the same training, and everybody's willing to continue to learn. I feel like that makes such a big difference in any team that like I've been a part of is that willingness to, I guess, be coachable.
Yeah.
Like it's when you come into a space and you assume that you know everything, that's when you lose the ability to like to grow.
Mm-hmm. You know what that makes me think of? Just a moment that we had in a meeting where there's like, oh, there's this training that we're gonna have, and no one has to do it, but we'll just offer it if anyone wants it.
Mm-hmm.
One of the people who's no longer with us, well, these are all my qualifications that, you know, make it so that I don't.
That is not what we are talking about. We are talking about a training, not whether or not you already had the information or you think you already did.
Yeah.
So it's just like being closed off to information is never going to be a helpful thing. But
yeah, especially in the space of growth.
Yeah, but it's like the best work can only happen for me when I know that everyone has my back, and I mean, anyone who has been in a space of like youth work, those work teams, those staffs tend to feel more like a family than just like a group of employees doing tasks together. And so,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I take a lot of pride in that space, and I'm just excited to have my people and know that they're solid.
Absolutely. No, it makes all the difference. So yeah, no, I'm super excited for you. What about you, Jesse? What are you excited for? Talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, kind of along the same lines of like connection, human connection. I teach a class called Deep Roots. It's a songwriting class.
Okay.
And we just got a date locked in for a showcase. So January 19th, 7 to 9:30 p.m. at McDaniel High School in the Black Box Theater.
Okay.
These kids are talented.
Sure.
Their production, some of their rhyme skills, and the fact that the ones who are just learning how to rap are like, I want to do a song. You know, I want to get ready.
Yeah.
So is Deep Roots, like, I know what Deep Roots is, but tell us.
You hold it down in the studio. Shout out to Malik. He holds it down in the studio so students can record themselves, and so I appreciate you for that. I wanted to.
Of course.
But yeah, Deep Roots. It's been a class in the Portland Public Schools in Reynolds School District for a while. It was started by this friend of mine named Chris, and he started it as for students to write and like work with artists. Originally, it was like a student would work with an artist, and by the end, the whole class would make a CD, and the artist would perform the song that the student wrote.
Wow.
But now, just with DAWs and students are making their own stuff.
Yeah.
They have access to that, and that's what I'm trying to build. It's a music production / songwriting class. It's mostly hip hop. There's a kid who does like kind of traditional Mexican music too.
That's kind of cool.
There's a kid who's into pop, and so there's a couple of different genres, but mostly it's hip hop.
Yeah.
And these kids are like freestyling out of their brains. They're just like really dope.
Yeah.
And really expressive. And it like the whole vibe of the class is chaos, but it's creative chaos. And so it's kind of fun for me just to vibe with in them. But that's Deep Roots.
Was there any pushback getting Deep Roots like in your space from the school?
No. Shout out to my principals, because they're pretty dope. They're like, oh yeah, it's been a class. We can, if it's in the system, we can just do it.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that, to see what they create and come up with, just to create a space for them to express.
Sure. So like each student gets like what, 1 song, 2 songs?
Yeah, well, that's what we're going to figure out. Like probably like, do you want to do a collab song with 3 other students, and you could have 10 minutes, but we basically have 2.5 hours to put it together.
Okay.
We're going to invite the B-boys and B-girls to do a set.
That's sick.
One of the other teachers, DJ Only Child, Mr. Stoll, he's going to hold it down on the 1s and 2s.
Yeah.
We're still thinking about, the students are going to create it as much as possible. See if they want to bring in some like guest artists. I'm thinking it'd be dope. If teacher, advocate, get Malik in there. Get Mr. Chuck Jones on the mic.
Oh, yes.
Get Mr. Robert on the mic, kind of our teachers who MC too. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm excited for that. And with my other hip hop literature class, students are slowly learning the art of freestyling. And each week there's like one of those little moments. It's like, oh shit, you did it. You said something. You made a dope rhyme connection. And so we're starting to build that energy in that class too.
Yeah.
So,
no, it sounds like a really just rewarding program that you get to be a part of and you get to see come to fruition in the space of like, okay, like we've been working on this. Now you guys get to showcase the thing that you're doing. And especially like in youth spaces, like there's not really like, if you're 21 and up, you can go perform, you know, you can go do a bar show or you can do an open mic. But like for younger youth, you know, there's not really a space where they can do that.
Yeah. And shout out to Andre at Friends of Noise, because he's starting to build that for youth to do on his platform. And he's doing a compilation called Rose City Rising. It's going to be all the best music from high school kids across the city. And students can submit their music. So that's going to be coming up. So a lot of my students are getting songs ready to submit to that.
Yeah, no, that's super dope. No, I'm really grateful that I'm surrounded by so many people who are taking the arts that I have such a great appreciation for and being able to get them to, you know, like the younger people of our generation and allow them to continue to grow and cultivate these things, because like, yeah, we did our thing, but like that, there's still more to be done.
No doubt.
I think it's really cool to see the cultivation of creative community specifically specifically with the youth, because so many of them, I mean, we all know if they're not given something to do, somewhere to be, or people to be there with, they will go find the most like inappropriate shit to do, the most ratchet hood rat shit they could possibly find. And so not only do they know like there's this class that I can go to, but like they have homies in that class. Like every table that I see in your class, it seems like a group of best friends. And I don't know if they became that in your class or how intentional that was on your part, but it's just really cool to see people connecting and clicking and like working on different projects and different genres all at the same time. It's like, I think there's a lot of potential in that space to change a lot of lives and do a lot of great things.
So and to show a lot of those students that, you know, just because you fucked off on a science test doesn't mean that like you're not good at anything. You just not good at science.
Yeah. What are you excited about, bro?
Yeah, look at you. You're hired. We don't need Amanda. Amanda who? I just want to shout out our chat real quick. Taylor Barrett in the chat was saying that it's a really important part of communities bringing up the youth and giving them a platform. So yeah, thank you both of you guys for doing that. What am I excited for? I just hit my 2 years sobriety date from alcohol. Boom, 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 boom. Still doing meth though. No, I'm just kidding. It's called Adderall.
Don't snitch on yourself, bro.
But yeah, I try not to do that thing where, you know, a lot of people be like, oh man, I'm 342 days sober, you know, like where you're just like, you're saying it like every 5 minutes.
6 hours and 5 minutes.
Yeah, for real. This isn't painful at all. I'm just counting every second of it always. But I did want to celebrate just kind of like that 2 year mark because 11/11 of 2020, I was just like, all right, like this is the luckiest day of the unluckiest year. If I can make it through this shit, man, fuck it. Like, and it's literally just been like, since then my life has just, it's grown and in exponential ways. And I'm just very grateful for all the opportunities that like I've been given because I made a sacrifice.
Was there a point like in between now and you quitting alcohol where you're like, I don't know if I can quit alcohol?
I mean, there's definitely been days. The only days that I think about drinking are either when it seems really fun or I'm really sad. Like either everybody's drinking and I'm like, man, it'd be really cool to like just connect with people in this way. But like, I realized that like the biggest part for me about alcohol and like the appeal of it was just the honesty aspect of it. Is that like most people won't open up to you unless they've had a couple drinks. Most people won't open up themselves unless they've had a couple drinks. So it's, for me, I've realized that like what I needed to create was just that connection, regardless of whether or not that substance was involved.
So you're almost forced to be like more of a human is what you're saying.
Yeah, honestly, it's like, I'm just going to have to connect with you regardless. And I don't have the fallback of like, I was drunk. I was just curious, you know, when the last time you talked to your dad was or whatever. Why did we bring that up? Whose idea was that? That was mine.
How has sobriety affected like your art in both comedy and music?
I would say that it's for my comedy, it was a big part of like, quitting meth and getting busted with meth. It was a big part of like the content that I would talk about, because it was something that like there was so much pain in it that if I didn't turn it into comedy, then I didn't know what to do with it. So, and then the same thing with music is that like, because making that change in my life has been such a beneficial thing. Like I had to find a way to share that. So yeah, I appreciate it. But we are actually at the end of our episode. Thank you, Jesse, so much for coming through. It was such a fucking treat talking with you. Malik always picks the fucking homies. I'm just going to jump in there, steal your handshake. This has been The Smoke Break. We're here every Sunday from 9 to 10 a.m. on Shady Pines Radio, as well as Pretty Dope Experience Radio. We will see you next week.